In addition to the traditional model of fight or flight, I'd like to add maybe a third option called facing your fears. So I'll explain it like this using personal examples. When I was younger, if someone said something to me that I didn't like, I would maybe let them do it, and then it would build up over time, and then I would just blow up in their face, and I'd be like, "You're mean. You're an awful person. You're degrading. I can't believe you'd say such a thing." Very aggressive, very angry. And I got to a point where I was like, this is not productive. I need to change the way that I'm doing things. So I turned to the flight mode of things. And I had an eating disorder in high school, and I had a therapist who told me if you're triggered and you feel unsafe in an environment, get out of there and remove yourself from the situation. So I took that very literally and very seriously. I took it to heart, and so there have been situations where I'm talking to someone and getting in a heated conversation, and I don't feel safe, I don't feel comfortable, and I will walk faster, and then I will run home. I will run home, like away from a conversation. Or I've been in a car with my then boyfriend, and we were having a discussion that kind of turned into a heated debate, argument, and I was like, I don't want to be here anymore. And on the interstate, I got out of the car and I walked home. And I walked to, I didn't know exactly where I was up the interstate, but I got out of the car and I walked to the nearest subway station and took the subway home. Um, and there comes a point when you're like, why am I'm just avoiding these problems. And so that's when I and so this is coming up for me today because I'm learning about this third option is face your fears. Um, so I'm in a situation where there's someone who I really value their feedback. I appreciate their feedback. The tone in which they present that feedback, however, I find to be condescending. And so I got to a point today where I just up and left. And I was like, in my head, I'm like, I don't feel safe. I don't feel comfortable. I don't want to be here. And so so I was like talking to myself, and I'm like, why am I doing this? How can I be comfortable? And so I realized that I'm making up this story in my head of if I tell this person, I really value and appreciate your feedback, and I just don't like the way that you're presenting it, and I find it to be very condescending. Would you be more conscious of the tone in which you're speaking to me, and just trying it out? So in my head, I'm making up this story that they're gonna flip out, or they're gonna think it's my fault, or they're gonna be like, I can't believe you think I'm condescending. When there's a good chance that they might just say, wow, I totally didn't mean to be condescending, and I'm sorry if it came out that way. I apologize. I really didn't mean at all to be condescending. And so, but I just was so afraid of what their possible reaction might be that I wasn't even considering that as a possible option. So that's why I would like to present to you option number three, which is facing your fears and doing what you think you can't do or isn't possible. Um, so that's what I intend to do is instead of running away from situations or blowing up in people's faces, is facing my fears and saying what I want to say and saying what I mean to say, showing up as me and saying, when you say this, I don't feel comfortable. Maybe there's a belief behind that, but I don't like the way that you say that. And if they have a problem with it, that's their thing. It's not my thing. I had a problem with the way that they were saying it. I let them know that. That's that. So, how could you apply this to your own life? Look at the way that you're doing things now. Do you get really angry and upset with people? And are you like that verbal warrior who like spit shit off your tongue and you're like, you want to get in a battle of words? You want to get in a battle of words? I will beat your ass with a fucking stick. If you think that's you're probably the fighter. But if you have a tendency to just remove yourself from situations and escape, you're maybe in the flight mode, and maybe you're in the face your fears mode where you're like, I don't want to do either of these things, but else am I supposed to do? How am I supposed to just stay with that fear, be okay with it, acknowledge the fact that this is going to be a little uncomfortable, but once I do it, I'm going to find out, what the other person is thinking or what the other person is feeling, and there's a good chance they didn't mean that. Try it out.